Everybody, there's three of us on the stage today because we are making a joint presentation about the forthcoming special edition of the Creative Economy Report 2013 from UNESCO, the UNDP, UN Office for South-South Cooperation, and UNCTAD. There's one member who's not here with us right now, and that's from WIPO. Over the past few days, we've heard a lot about creativity, economy, and its relationship to development, and we'll hear more about that in the coming panel. But right now what we wanted to do is to let you know or to inform you about the efforts that we've been making over the last 8 months to put together a new version of the Creative Economy Report 2013. Mrs. Volkova, the Director General, mentioned this report in the opening ceremony and at the beginning of this conference. But even though there are the three institutions here on the stage, we all know that reports do not get written by institutions, not by themselves and not as themselves. And I just would like to identify Professor Rajazar, who's working as the principal investigator of this report. He's coordinating and writing, and many of you who are sprinkled in between the others have also contributed with case studies, expertise, and I was very happy to hear the case studies from today, which we might also think about including in the Creative Economy Report 2013. So just 2 words about where this report came from. As some of you will be familiar, there was the first Creative Economy Report published by UNCTAD and the UNDP in 2008, and another version, an updated version, published in 2010. And the success of those 2 reports is indeed witnessed here in this conference, because many of the main messages that came from those reports at the time have been mentioned. For example, the creative economy has grown more rapidly than any others, particularly in the Global South, and that the creative economy is highly transformative in terms of income generation, job creation, and export earnings. It's important to understand the political context in which these reports were produced. And that was at the time when the Millennium Development Goals were first introduced through its agenda. And of course, as we all know, culture was notably absent from that agenda. Today, things are a little bit different. The work on the special edition of the 2013 Creative Economy Report is taking place within the future-oriented perspective of the UN System Task Force for the future of the One for All on the post-2015 development agenda, a theme that's been running through our discussions for the past days. This exercise has issued a call to the international community to identify new development pathways, in particular at the local level. Yesterday we heard the local level is the future. The local level in terms of encouraging creativity, innovation, that can help pursue these goals of inclusive, equitable, sustainable development. But all of this implies that we need to speak about the creative economy in a different way. We need to talk about the creative economy beyond its contribution to GDP, and to start thinking about indicators about the quality of life and of livelihoods. There was a session yesterday on being that also of the 2 previous reports, the 2008 and 2010 report, to focus primarily on the local level and to focus on developing countries. The main reasoning behind this new focus, this special edition, was to be able to demonstrate how the energies and the resources of the cultural actors and communities, how they're being deployed, not only for the attainment of income, employment, or to pursue trade goals, but also for the attainment of these new development pathways that we've been asked to find. The special edition of the Creative Economy Report will explain how it is broadly conceived in complementarity with other key dimensions of culture, that enlarge people's capacities to lead lives that they have reason to value. In other words, human development in its primary and principal sense. The special edition Creative Economy Report will demonstrate how the creative economy can be promoted in ways that actually take forward the vision of this UN task force, and by arguing that the cultural resources of the community can be converted into inclusive economic development. And we've just had an excellent case study to show and to provide evidence of that. It also will demonstrate how inclusive social development is dependent on the creative economy when it is conceived as a space for learning and for inspiration. And we saw much of that in what Charles was presenting earlier, the city as a source of learning and inspiration, where the availability of a diversity of cultural expressions can strengthen innovation and partnerships. Finally, this special edition is designed to show how an international agenda can be informed by the many lessons of creative economy development work that happen on the ground, and how this new agenda will inform the future of these local endeavors. The special edition of the Creative Economy Report is nearing completion. So I just want to leave you with a sneak preview of the report, because we don't have the report to give to you yet, as we thought perhaps some months ago, just by giving you an overview of the chapter. So chapter 1, Expanding the Envelope, explores the ways in which culture at the local level transcends economic calculus. And much of the discussion here at the Congress also feeds into that. But we focus on three things. One is on artistic practice and cultural expression that generate new forms of cultural energy. The second is on cultural heritage, both intangible and tangible, that provide individuals and groups with the knowledge and skills that are vital for sustainable relationships with natural resources and ecosystems. And third, we focus on urban architecture and planning as a set of practices that is key to the quality of life in cities and towns. The second chapter looks at a panoply of local creativity around the world, from Africa, Latin America, Asia and the Pacific, and Arab states, by providing a type of qualitative evidence, not statistical evidence, but qualitative evidence of the transformative promise of culture that is embodied in projects and unfolding in myriad local settings around the world. Chapter 3 outlines a whole set of critical factors in building local creative economies that have the power to transform policymaking. Chapter 4, which is inspired by the work of Professor David Crosby that you heard about this morning, reviews the key issues regarding investments in local creative economy development and proposes a range of indicators of effectiveness and success for local policymakers to equip themselves with. Chapter 5, which a colleague from the UNDP will talk about, is a portfolio of local projects, an analysis of portfolio of local projects that have been supported by the UN funds, namely the Millennium Development Goal Fund and the International Fund for Cultural Diversity, which is part of the 2005 Convention on the Diversity of Cultural Expressions. And of course, we will end with ways forward and lessons learned by every coming soon. So the report itself, as I said earlier, is nearing completion. It will be launched in September in New York during the UN General Assembly.